Hey, Heather.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Living the dream. All right, cool. We got both of you guys, right?
Yep.
All right.
It says the host has disabled my video.
I'm such a jerk. Okay, what I need to do is I'm going to make you host. Go
Okay.
ahead and turn your video on and then make me host back.
Okay. Okay.
Beautiful.
Oh, I got to make you host again. Uh, 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 uh. Heather, are you there?
I think she's here. All right, I just made her host so she can go turn her video on.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
All right, and I've just reclaimed host. Awesome.
Okay, great.
And then Heather, are you going to share the PowerPoint?
I think Brian is going to do
Okay,
that.
as long
Yeah.
as
Let's see. Can I? Okay. It looks like I have that. I just have to find the right window because there's a million of them. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll kick this off. I'll do the the welcome, blah blah blah, and then I'll kind of hand it off over to you guys. And at that point, I mean, it's your show, and I'll just kind of monitor the Q&A and chat, and I'll feed in any questions if I have them.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Don't feel like we need to go all the way to the top of the hour. Like, we'll just kind of take it organically. Typically, when they have questions, they have lots of them. If not, then I kind of find myself fishing for questions, and but not necessarily a bad thing. It's more about getting a good presentation that we can market around, because then Ginger will start sending out emails saying, hey, did you see this webinar? And we'll get a lot after today seeing this as well.
That sounds good.
Any questions for me?
I don't think so.
All
Do you,
right.
Brian?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I'm gonna throw myself on mute, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Usually I kick this off maybe 3 or 4 minutes after the top of the hour, just to let people come in.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You guys are in Minnesota, right?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. I was way off. How's the weather in Connecticut these days?
It's starting to get warmer, which is nice.
Excellent.
Spring is
Yes.
coming.
Yeah, all the snow is melted, I think.
We might hit 70 today, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
I got
Nice.
tickets to opening day on Thursday to see the Cubs game, and it's only going to be 40. So I was a little bummed.
Oh,
I would have
Oh.
definitely traded that 70-degree day for Thursday, but
So Will, are you the musician?
I guess, yeah.
Definitely. If you can't say it, then you're a nice, humble musician. So.
Yeah, I went to college. I got a music degree.
Oh, me too.
I was unemployed. That's how I got into
Yeah. Well, I was a harp performance major.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yep.
music education, but I played the tuba in the military.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Where did you go?
Illinois State and then Northeastern Illinois. So I got out of that, got out of the Army, and then maybe 5 years after, my dad has always been like a string player.
Yeah.
He started handing out ukuleles to all his close friends and family, and then I got into ukulele.
Oh,
I
fun.
can sing at the same time, and it's a lot easier to transport than a tuba.
Oh, yeah. A harp too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it got to the point where, I'd get a gig and they paid very well. Harp players, you get $500 an hour. That's great.
Right.
But it's a lot to bring in places. It's like a whole day. So really, when it comes down to it, it's,
I was I'm getting married over the summer, and we wanted a harp player for the ceremony. And I'm a musician. I understand you have to pay the musicians, but never dawned on me like what a pain in the butt, like just to move that harp, and
oh gosh, yeah.
like there's just like that transportation fee sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
gladly pay it, but it's crazy.
Well, congrats on the wedding.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh.
that's awesome.
And then we're doing Text next month, right?
Yes.
What day is that, so I can plug it?
Let's see it. It's the end of April. I think it was the 27th.
27th, okay.
Let me double check that is a Tuesday. Yeah, the 27th.
All right, looks like people are starting to plug in. Welcome, everybody. See some familiar faces out there. We're just going to give it a couple minutes, let everybody keep joining. All right, I successfully bribed the dog, so hopefully she'll leave the squeaky toys alone.
Hey, Dusty asks, what's on the agenda for today?
Oh, hey, Dusty. We've got Brian and Heather from Gozynta with us today, and we're going to be talking about their Mobius platform.
What would you like to be on the agenda for today, Dusty?
Dusty's one of our regulars. I can always count on Dusty for some questions. All right. We will get going. Welcome, everybody. Last Tuesday in March is a bonus Tuesday. We've got 5 Tuesdays this month. My name's Will Young. I'm here from Bering McKinley. We are very excited to have Gozynta with us, Heather and Brian from Gozynta. This is going to be the first of a 2-part webinar series with them. They're going to be with us again on Tuesday, the 27th. Today, we're going to be talking about their Mobius platform. For anybody that doesn't know, Mobius is the must-have tool if you are using ConnectWise and QuickBooks Online. And then next month, we're going to be talking about their Text platform, which is an awesome add-on to ConnectWise that allows users to text message in tickets. Just a couple public service announcements. We'll talk more about it next week, but we are going to make some tweaks to our regular cadence. After April, we're going to go down to 2 ConnectWise Tuesdays a month. We'll have a and ask the experts, and then we'll bring in an industry speaker. So we'll give you more more details about that on Tuesday the 6th. We will be back next Tuesday. It'll be Rose, and I think I'll be on there as well, walking you through all of that. With that being said, I'd like to turn this over to Brian and Heather from Gozynta. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Really excited to hear what you guys have to say, and then just kind of show everybody what this awesome platform can do.
Thanks, Will.
Absolutely. Thank you, Will. So, you know, Bering McKinley, they are great friends of ours. They recommend us, and we really appreciate that always. So as Will said, Gozynta Mobius is the way to get all of your financial data from ConnectWise Manage right over to QuickBooks Online. We try to make it as easy as possible and are always trying to find ways to make it more easy and even fun. That's what our goal is. We'd love to make this fun. We're having a good time at it. So, but first, let's do a few questions. If you can answer in the chat, what accounting system are you currently using? Do we have a lot of QuickBooks Online users? Desktop? All right, all right. Yeah, that's what we're finding. We're finding that most MSPs are going to QuickBooks Online. They really have come quite a long way in the past couple of years. And yeah, we have a desktop here with Bill. Awesome.
Yeah, we have. There's a good spattering of QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktops in there. So yeah, great.
Good. We are going to have a. We do not currently work with Xero, but that is that is on our roadmap. We have a lot of people from Xero asking us about supporting. We know that's a way that people are going, and we always want to be where people are. So that is on the roadmap. Who isn't or is using Mobius? Do we have existing Mobius users? Hey, wow. All right.
Some
So
friends.
this will be great because Brian is going to talk a little bit now about the importance of accounting, and we'll be giving some kind of super user tips as well. So hopefully you'll bring some new ideas on ways to use Mobius, especially with our new expense handling and things like that. So Brian, why don't you talk to us about the importance of accounting?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for small business owners to get in the mindset of, okay, accounting is this thing that I need to do, that's a chore. And I need to do it for tax reporting purposes and not looking at the importance of having good accounting numbers for knowing the health of your business, because it really is the tool for reporting on the health of your business and understanding how profitable you are. In some of my previous business experience, I've worked with an owner who would really followed his bank balance to understand how the business was, and the company would receive a lot of payments from customers, and he'd start getting excited looking at how the bank balance was doing and start spending money, and then would really start to be getting stressed out and putting a lot of pressure on everybody in the business when that bank balance started to go down. And we were saying, look, we're going to be thin for a little while here before we have another peak in the future, because at the time, as a lot of MSPs do, we were doing a lot of project work, and that business was very peaky, and he didn't have he understood it at some level, but he couldn't internalize it well enough to watch that. To resist that emotional part of it. And so, we need to follow the numbers. I end up spending way too much time in our QuickBooks because I like playing with where the numbers are going to bring me, doing reporting, pulling numbers out into a spreadsheet and kind of doing projections in the future. And so when I'm procrastinating on other things, I end up kind of playing around with our QuickBooks instance and spreadsheets because it's fun. Maybe
Brian really finds the accounting part very, very fun.
But I guess that means that I'm in the right place here, because that is the core of what we're doing with Mobius. So Mobius is, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, it is the tool for synchronizing your accounting data between ConnectWise Manage and QuickBooks Online. So we batch over your expenses, your invoices from Manage to Online. It's amazing. I always assumed that everybody who had QuickBooks Online was just automatically signing up for an integration like ours. I found it amazing to see how many companies are manually entering data in their accounting systems. And it's certainly something you can put processes in place and do it, but it's a labor-intensive process. If you're doing it manually, you're going to make mistakes. And it really should be automated, because it is a straightforward thing to automate. So we bring invoices over from Manage to QuickBooks. We bring the payments that you receive in QuickBooks back into Manage, so the payment status shows up correctly. And then we will also batch over your expenses from your employee expense reports from Manage to QuickBooks. I'm going to go through our expense reimbursement process in a little bit. And that's reimbursements. And then the item that isn't in here is purchasing, so that your inventory can stay in line between Manage and QuickBooks Online. Heather, did you want to talk on this slide?
Yeah, it's actually, if you can go back to the other slide, and then I can.
Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of people, as Brian said, a lot of people are manually entering all of this information, and it is hours. It is surprising. It is hours of going back and forth. We have it down to 1 click. And then we decided maybe that's too much. Maybe 1 click's too much. Once you set up Mobius, you can kind of set it and forget it with our auto sync. Now, auto sync, there is other syncs out there. No one does auto sync. So you set up Mobius, you turn on auto sync, and then every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, however often you want to, when your batches are ready to go and manage, they flow over automatically. You're emailed if something goes wrong, but if you're set up right, that doesn't usually happen, and that's great. So you're kind of taking out those hours of time. And Brian, if you can go to the next one. And that's when we're looking at how much is an MSP spending. I mean, I talk to MSPs all the time, and they usually talk to me first when they come to use Mobius, and I'm finding that there are a lot of MSPs that are spending around 10 hours a week. That's about an average sized MSP, that somebody is entering the information from Manage and then re-entering it into QuickBooks Online. There are discrepancies. Once there is a discrepancy, this 10-hour a week number goes out the window because we're trying to figure out where things are wrong. And and it's not sometimes an accurate picture. So taking that, somebody working in accounting is probably about $20 an hour, and I think that's a pretty good deal. That's $10,000 a month. So that's a good amount of money. And next slide.
Right. So some of the benefits of QuickBooks Online over QuickBooks Desktop, for those of you who are still on desktop. QuickBooks Desktop, it's been around for a long time. It's QuickBooks between desktop and online has kind of become the standard for small businesses, especially here in the US, although we have a lot of international users as well. But if you're using it with multiple users, you have to deal with single user mode. I've learned over my years when I was supporting QuickBooks Desktop to hate the QuickBooks database, having to use the database connector. I've dealt with years of weird database corruption issues. It's just not, well, if you're using desktop, I don't have to tell you anyway. And then remote access is challenging. You have to set up an RDP to a system that's running desktop and has access to your database. QuickBooks Online, when the last company that I was a part of, that I was a partner in, when we switched from desktop to online, one of the little things that my business partner loved at the time was this view that you get as soon as you log in. You log in and you get this nice little dashboard that gives you a quick overview of how your company's doing. And I love this view as well. I come into our QuickBooks and look at this, and it's good to just have this really quick overview of how your company's doing. Again, easily access it from everywhere. You don't need to use RDP. We've developed, we have a process in our blog on our website to make it easy for people to switch from desktop to online. Our integration was originally modeled after the QuickBooks Desktop integration that's built into Manage. And so for the most part, we are compatible with that integration. And so if you're migrating from desktop to online, our integration should pretty much just work for you. There is one catch in that when you import your database from desktop to online, a couple of fields get switched around in your customer table and your vendors table. And so we have a process that you can easily walk through to re-switch those fields so that your data matches properly. But if you need help with any of it, we also have an onboarding process where we will work with you to get your setup worked out. The onboarding process is currently being done by the person who wrote that documentation that's on our website. And of course, the folks at Bering McKinley would be more than happy to help you with all of this as well. They know our product as well as anybody does.
Brian, Dusty had a good question. He said that QuickBooks Online has used third parties to host its software in the past. Is it now officially hosted by Intuit? And is it officially supported by Intuit in their cloud?
QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online is their cloud product. The only thing I'm aware of Intuit using third parties to host is QuickBooks Desktop. So there are some third parties that cloud host QuickBooks Desktop. QuickBooks Online is this application you see here. It's a completely cloud native application hosted by Intuit. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Okay, so one of our recent improvements. So Mobius has been around for 8 or 9 years now as a product. It was developed as part of my previous company, which was an MSP called Mobius Works. In 2018, about 2.5 years ago now, Heather and I founded Gozynta and basically spun it off from Mobius Works to give our two products, Mobius and Tixt, a lot more attention than they've been getting as part of the MSP. So over the past 2 years, we've spent a lot of time going through our platform and improving our entire platform. And we've made most of the improvements we've made over the past 2 years have been behind the scenes. Although we've also gone through we've tested every type of transaction and looking for where are the opportunities to make this easier for users to reduce the questions that people have. We're continuing to do that because improvement is a continuous process and there's always ways we can get better at those things. But in doing that, one of the places where we saw some real opportunity for easy improvement for our users is the expense batching process. It used to be that you had a choice, and this not that it matters to any of you, but this had to do with how the API in Manage presents the data. So it would there's a checkbox in Manage for expenses as bills. And if you have that checkbox on, then we would get the data to make bills for reimbursable expenses, but we wouldn't get data for non-reimbursable expenses. If you had it off, we would get all of the data to make GL entries for non-reimbursable and reimbursable expenses both. And so there wasn't a good way to handle both things. With the latest release of Mobius, we've improved this process. With the coming release in April, we will also be bringing attachments over so you can have your expense receipts. Okay, so I have pre-created some approved expense reports in Manage. We have some mileage that's employee paid, so that's reimbursable. There was a lot of mileage, 9,000 miles. That was a lot of travel there, and some some non-reimbursable expenses, some materials that were billed to the company credit card. So if I come over to Mobius and we create expense batches, and I have a lot of other stuff in here. So I'm just going to select the few transactions we want. There's a couple here, and actually I want to pay a bunch of my expenses. So I'm gonna bring over a few more expenses that are reimbursable to me. And so we'll submit these and have these run through. This is our process. We start coming through. We create the customer if necessary when we're linking to customers. We create the employee as a vendor so we can reimburse them, and then we create the expenses. If we come over to QuickBooks, we can see I have been created as a vendor, so I can get reimbursed, and I have an open balance of $31.78. So at this point, it makes it really easy to do your expense reimbursements because it just fits in with your normal bill paying process. So I can create a new payment. I'm going to pay, okay, that's the only account I have, so that's fine. This is a brand new QuickBooks database I set up just about an hour ago. So there really isn't anything in here except for a fake credit card account and no balances. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, I'm paying all of the bills for Brian. If I had other payees in here, I could obviously filter it, pull up all my bills, select all, here's how much is due. I know I can pay all of these because we've already gone through the expense approval process in ConnectWise. So we know that these are valid expenses to be paid. And then I can save this payment. Oh, I should have done this as a check. New check, so I can cut myself a check. There we go. That looks better. I don't have a, well. Great. Check number one. And I'm just going to say, yep, this one, and this one. Here's all my bills. If I want to drill into any of these, I can see all of the detail of what these expenses were. Okay, so sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. I get excited. So we've added all the bills, and we can add this to our next check run and save and close, and we're good to go. So that handles our reimbursable expenses. As you can see, really easy, really straightforward. I don't really have to even think a whole lot to make this happen once I get it set up. Our non-reimbursable expenses already went into our Amex account because that's our company credit card, and we have the entries here, and we can drill into these, see the details. So we purchased Windows 95. We had to run down to Egghead Software, purchase Windows 95 because we had an old machine that needed it. And so, so we can edit this if need be. Again, in the next release, we're also going to show the attachment, which will have the receipt for it. So we have that backup in case we get audited or whatever in the future. All of our information is here, but the great thing is now that these transactions are already here, I don't have this linked with a bank account, but if you're in your bank feeds and you pull in your transactions in your bank feeds, now your transactions are going to come in and they're going to match with the transactions that are already in your account. So now if you have a transaction that comes in from your bank feed that's on the company credit card, you know it's Brian's company credit card, and I got this transaction and it didn't batch in from Mobius. So he charged something on his card that he didn't submit in an expense report, or it didn't get approved on his expense report. And then you can decide how you want to deal with it. Also, you can check if none of your transactions have cleared, or if, I'm sorry, not none. If you have any transactions that haven't cleared, then you're going to know that there was a mistake there and somebody entered an expense on their expense report, and for some reason it didn't show up on your credit card statement. So you have traceability the entire way through the process. You can handle billable expenses in a way that makes sense for billable expenses by issuing a bill. Your reimbursable expenses show up on the statement and you can handle them very smoothly. This is an optional process. We still have our old process available, and for existing customers, that's still the default and they have to turn this on. And so that would bring over all of your expenses as expense entries. You might choose to bring them over as expense entries into a clearing account and have another process for handling them. But this is certainly the smoother process because it makes it really easy to do. So Bob just asked, what makes our bank feed better than QuickBooks Online? What are the advantages? We're not replacing QuickBooks Online's bank feed. This actually works with QuickBooks Online's bank feed. So we're pre-populating the transactions in the account, and then you use the bank feed to match to those transactions. So now you have, you need to have the if you're using bank feeds, and as the transactions come in, you just add them to the account, that's fine, but you don't have any way to tie that to your receipts and to your expense reports that you had employees give approval for. So we're pre-populating the transactions from the expense reports, and you match your bank feeds with these. You should always, when you're doing this process, you should always use the matching feature in the bank feeds and not be adding any transactions. When you have something come in from your bank feeds and there is no match and you need to add it, then you know, hey, I've got something on this person's company credit card that wasn't on an approved expense report, and you can question it and follow up on it. In that case, you may then decide you need to add it in the bank feed screen and process that, because you are going to need to get it on your GL because it was on the credit card statement. But at least that's your cue to say, hey, something's not right here, and follow up on it. Okay. Why it won't let me click on that tab? Great, thanks, Bob. Valerie has a question about, can you create POs from agreement products and batch over to vendors in QuickBooks? POs from agreement products. So I have to look at the procurement side again. It's been a couple of months, so I would have to refresh my memory on how that works. If you create POs in Manage, then we batch over the POs. I need to refresh my memory on how that process works on the Manage side. But you can certainly send us an email on that and we can follow up on the details of that question. In the new release of the direct bill to Mobius will direct bill to Mobius, will the rate column fill in automatically now? Direct bill to Mobius. I'm not clear on your second question, Valerie, either. Are you talking about invoices?
Maybe we can talk about that in the question section.
Yeah, okay.
So we do have a lot of new things with Mobius. Currently we've had, I think it was 2 or 3 releases since in the new year. So it's been an exciting year with releases. We have heard from everybody that they love Mobius. You know, we've had explosive growth in the past 2 years, and so we have built out a really great dev team to start building all these amazing features. So just in the past few months, we have the improved handling of expenses that Brian went over. Auto sync is in the new Mobius, which I told you before. You know, you'll just even forget that this is an issue. You just set it and forget it. Taxes as line items. That's a feature that it comes in for a few situations, but is especially helpful if you have Avalara and are using that for your taxes. The ability to batch over only approved expenses. This is a great feature that allows just the approved expenses to go over.
There's a little gotcha with manage. If you select bill unimproved expenses in manage, then suddenly manage also expects that you're going to reimburse unapproved expenses. We've had requests from a number of customers who want to bill unapproved expenses, but only reimburse expenses when they're approved. So our change works around that.
Yeah, and we also you get our direct support. We are a real fast team and we know our product really well. So we get right to it. We are a family-owned company. Brian and I do own this. I am guilty of answering support tickets while watching the movies with our 4 teenagers and while cooking dinner. It's a problem I need to fix, but it's okay. It works because this is like our baby. In our upcoming releases, our next release, which is just around the corner, you'll be able to attach PDFs on expenses, which is a really nice thing. So those will batch over. Expenses, bill unapproved, pay approved. That is going to be a workaround to some weird logic in ConnectWise. Support for numbered GL. If you do have a numbered GL currently, you kind of have to switch it to naming. This will be a workaround for that, so you can have those numbers if you're a new Mobius user. Also adding a paid status to manage. This is so when the invoice is fully paid, we will flip the status on the invoice and manage to a different status of your choosing. This is really handy if you're using workflow rules and do automations like changing the company status based on an open invoice. In the future, and let me tell you, just this slide is too small. The idea is, it's amazing, but automated invoice creation, which is something no one's doing.
So if I can jump in a little bit here.
Please.
So, you know, as I said before, we founded this company. We've spent a lot of time going through getting rid of some of these rough edges. You know, the number GL mapping, so you can map in your GL mapping and manage, put in the account number instead of the account name, which if you have numbers turned on in QuickBooks, it's a lot easier to use the numbers than to try to match up the names exactly. And so, you know, we've done a lot of these little improvements to our workflow, and this next release includes a number of those. Then we're looking at how can we provide more value to our customers and how can we make this process better. So these upcoming items are some examples of some of the ways that we're doing that. We can't we can't highlight everything that we have in mind, everything that we're doing, but this is some of the ideas. You know, how can we provide more value? How can we make your accounting easier? And how can we help you get more accounting data? So automated invoice creation, rather than making you go through the process in Manage where you have to select all of the potential invoices and create them. Well, why make users go through that step? We can create them for you. Let you do a review of the invoices, and then and batch them over. We're already doing auto sync. If you have, ideally, we can get to a point for, especially for your recurring invoices, your agreement invoices, where, okay, it's the invoice date for this agreement. We'll create that invoice in Manage. We'll bring it over to QuickBooks, and it's ready to bill. And then the next step would be sending it out automatically as well. We really want you to not have to work so hard to do accounting. And then revenue versus expense analysis, giving you more access to where your money came from and what the expenses are that tie to that money. So better reporting and helping tie out that data. One area that I have in mind on that, but we're looking for customer feedback on all of these things. One area is there's, you know, you do your time entries in Manage, and you have your time entries associated with your tickets. You enter your payroll into QuickBooks, and you have your payroll amounts, but there's no real way to connect those things so you can see where your payroll dollars actually go into your expense accounts. Now you can do some cost analysis on the ConnectWise side, but we'd like to be able to bring that analysis to your accounting system. Again, we're also always looking for customer feedback for where you see the shortcomings are, where you're spending the most time in your accounting processes, so we can make those things easier and add those things to our roadmap. So our company motto is here to remind us that we always need to do better. All software sucks, even our software. And so let's work every day to find ways to make it suck less. Yeah.
Now, Bill had a question. He syncs already between ConnectWise and QuickBooks. He's using QuickBooks Desktop. What are the benefits? What are the advantages to moving to Gozynta?
The benefits are largely in the benefits of QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop, at least today. We do have some processes that are now better than the processes in the QuickBooks Desktop sync, like the expense process that I went through with you. I believe, if I remember correctly, in the QuickBooks Desktop integration that's built into Manage, you can't do both bills and non-reimbursable expenses. We also have auto sync, so you turn on auto sync in our system, and we check Manage for new transactions on a schedule, and we'll automatically bring those from QuickBooks Online. I like to also describe it as no-click batching. You don't even have to log into Mobius. It just does its thing. Obviously, we're working on continually improving our integration and making things better. I'm sure there are other benefits that I've forgotten in our syncing process, but the larger benefits are the benefits of QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop at this point.
So Ken has a question. We have attempted to move from Desktop Pro 2018 to QuickBooks Online, and we ran into several issues such as inactive customer and vendors becoming inactive. That's annoying. Is there a way to resolve that? It also has unbillable charges for these customers and vendors, which we need to go into each charge and make them unbillable. Is there a way to batch that with your software?
Yeah, I'm not entirely clear what's happening there.
Yeah.
So if you've made customers and vendors inactive in QuickBooks Online, we would only make them active if there were new transactions to that we were batching over for those customers and vendors. If you have old transactions that you haven't batched over, you can in Manage as an example for expenses, you can in Manage remove records, and that will prevent us from batching them over. So it may be something like that. That also works with invoices, remove records. Also, by the way, anybody who's using any accounting integration with ConnectWise, this Update GL Entries button is a lifesaver. Anytime you change your GL mappings, you can use Update GL Entries to update them. In the past, we had to open and close, reopen and reclose invoices to update the GLs. Unbillable charges for these customers. I need to go into each. Yeah, I'm not like, if you have unbillable charges for customers, then they should not be created on the invoice in the first place if you have them marked as do not bill or no charge. In Manage, do not bill items don't get created on the invoice at all, and no charge items get created on the invoice as $0, so that way you can show the customer, we've done this for you and we're not charging you for this. So it sounds like I'm suspecting that these issues may be around setup, maybe things that Bering McKinley can help you with, but certainly you can reach out to our support team if you're trying to do these with our integration, and we'd be happy to help you with any whatever part of the issue is related to our integration. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Ken, that looks like just a mapping issue. Let us know, and we can get one of our specialists to take a look at your setup and see if there's a couple tweaks we can make to help with that.
Keith brought up, my understanding is you can't sync different Manage locations to two different QuickBooks companies files without Gozynta. We do have support for multi-company in QuickBooks Online. And Michaela also asked about our pricing. We have made our pricing as low as possible. We even have a tier that is for customers, MSPs just starting out, that is a free tier. That's you have to batch less than $50,000 per month of invoices. If you're doing anything with expenses, then you'd be on the light plan. And then the standard plan is for inventory PO, those various locations, if you're using classes, multi-currency, multi-company in QuickBooks, and auto sync, which we have talked a lot about. So those are our plans that we have. Brian did mention the optional onboarding. Again, I am not a very technical person, and helps with getting this knowledge base set up so that it was as easy as possible. And then we tortured our teenagers and made them set it up, never going into ConnectWise before, and to make sure that all of the images and everything that I wrote down was as simple as possible. So we do feel that the onboarding is optional, but we do have it there because time is very valuable, and maybe you don't feel like learning the ins and outs of a connector. So we're here to help with that, and Bering McKinley is as well.
Valerie clarified her question. So she's asking if we're filling in the rate column. I believe she's talking about invoices. So on invoices in QuickBooks, okay, yeah. What we are currently doing, if you have a product, I don't even know if I have, okay. If you have a product in here and you have a quantity other than one, and so you might have a rate of $5, so you get a total of 10. We've had some issues in the past where, and it has to do with cents, and I think it might even have to do with fractions of a cent.
Yeah.
Where the calculation between rate times quantity equals amount comes out to different amounts in QuickBooks Online than it does in ConnectWise. The majority of our users are using ConnectWise to send out their invoices, and we need to make sure our top priority is making sure that the balance at the bottom of the invoice matches in both systems, because we don't want that to, we don't want to bill the customer for one amount, have them pay that amount, and then have it show an empty balance or a balance due. So we've prioritized that, and as a result, we haven't been populating the rate in this field. We put the rate into the description right now. It is something we get questioned on occasionally, and it is something that we do have some other workarounds in mind for that, but it is not yet in the current release.
Michaela also asked, she said that they have not connected QuickBooks Online and ConnectWise yet. They're just trying to understand the best way to do this. Is it simpler to do it with Mobius than just between ConnectWise and QuickBooks Online, which I'm assuming is the built-in QuickBooks Online integration that ConnectWise has? My understanding is that that only does invoices and then a payment sync at the end of the day. So if you're trying to do anything that is expenses, inventory, I think that they don't bring over certain fields. They do basic details. So you might find that it's not robust for enough for what you're trying to do. And I do think that this has a lot more hand-holding and our support. So, we're right here for you if anything goes wrong. And I think it's the easier way to go, but I'm a little jaded.
Sorry, Will.
Michaela, if I can just say, this is the best way, and it's not even close. If you're using QuickBooks Online and you want to integrate ConnectWise, this is the recommended way from Bering McKinley. With all of our clients and the hundreds of clients that we work with that are using QuickBooks Online, this is the way we've had the most success.
Thanks, Will.
Valerie, to your last comment on helping us test that functionality, please drop an email to our support team so we can get linked up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have any other questions? We love questions. You guys asked great ones. Oh yeah. So Valerie also asked the advantage of switching from the legacy version to the new packages that we are offering. Brian, do you want to take this one?
Oh, I thought you were going to take it. Okay.
Oh, I can. I absolutely can. Yeah. So in the past, ConnectWise did sell this integration, and it was built, this was 8 years ago, it was built on the SOAP API, which as everybody's heard is now deprecated. We built this up, took a long time. We have at the time we were 3 people, 1 developer. It took us a little while to rebuild it on the REST API, but we got there. One of the things that ConnectWise was no longer going to be subsidizing this version. So that is a difference in the price, but we wanted to make sure there was a lot of value there. Besides the value that you're going to get from not hand entering invoice details, which is just huge in and of itself. So we looked at ways to make it easier. We put in the auto sync. We started looking at how to make the expenses work better. The support for Avalara. And then the biggest thing was that the legacy version is supported by ConnectWise, and we wanted to bring that in-house and sell and support it ourselves. We are a family company. We're small, we're remote. We're at 10 people around the country, completely US dev team. And often when you're asking questions to our team, it's somebody who's actually built this integration. So we know these answers backwards and forwards. And it's really important for us to hear from you and get those problems solved. We do not want you to be stuck in the water. As I said, I am guilty of answering things over the weekend because I hate to hear when an MSP is stuck. They just want to get paid and they can't batch their invoices over. And so we try to help out wherever we can. So I think that's the biggest reason is that, you know, we are no longer developing on the legacy version. We don't know when that's going to stop, when the SOAP API is no longer going to work. And we are only developing for this one. So all of these fun, fabulous things that we're dreaming of are only for the Gozynta Mobius people, sorry.
We've definitely had a number of people who have upgraded just to get access to our support team.
Yes.
We really want, you know, part of the transformation of this product under the new company has required us to put a different pricing plan in place. And none of this is for us to get rich. We pay ourselves modest salaries, and the profits that we make from this company, we're reinvesting into the company. We're in the process of hiring new people now, and every time we get enough profit, we're hiring more people so we can continue to make our products better. We want to provide as much support as we can for you MSPs, and we need your support to get there.
Yeah. Michaela asked if the free plan would be enough for them to start, and is it easy to upgrade at any time if we need to? Absolutely. You can start with that free plan. The only warning that I have is, as helpful as our support team is, that plan does not come with support. So it is kind of a self-serve. It's the only way we're able to offer it for free. But again, I worked really hard on those documents. I think you can get through them. And if you hit that $50,000 limits, it just asks you to upgrade, and there you go. It's really easy. You don't even need to talk to us. Everything we've made as self-service possible. You can go to Mobius right now. It's www.gozynta.com/Mobius, and you can click which plan you want. And that's like it. You put in your payment information and you're good to go. You're emailed your user guide and you can just get going. You could be syncing batches in a couple hours. So yeah, we try to make things easy.
If it's not easy enough, let us know so we can make it easier.
Exactly. Any other questions? Is there a question over here? Let me see.
The integrated. Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
What do you mean by SOAP API? So, the APIs, ConnectWise provides ways for us to get access to your data within Manage, and there are two now. This is technical details about how our software works behind the scenes. So ConnectWise has their SOAP API, which is the API they developed many, many years ago, which is what we originally developed Mobius against. When Mobius was first developed, the SOAP API was the only way to get accounting data out of Manage. Since then, ConnectWise has said, well, we've deprecated the SOAP API. We're not going to improve it anymore. And at some point in the future, we are going to discontinue that API, and you're not going to be able to get access to this data this way anymore. And they released the REST API as a replacement for it. So what we had to do is go through our product, and everywhere in the code where we're accessing data from ConnectWise, we had to completely change the way that works. I mean, it's almost a different, it is a different language for how to talk to manage. So we had to replace all of the SOAP language stuff with REST language stuff. And that was a considerable amount of development effort to make that happen. And so that's what's changing, and that's and so we went through the application, we did that, and while we were doing that, we looked for every other opportunity for improvement that we could. In the same process, we also upgraded the infrastructure that our application's running on. So we're now in a more cloud native infrastructure with redundant servers and container-based architecture. These are the leading ways to build cloud platform solutions. And so we also improved our development processes, improved our automated testing. I mean, we invested a lot of time over the past 2.5 years into building a much better foundation underneath this product than what was there before. Not that what was there before was bad, but it was 8 years old, and it's now a modern stack again. And now with building that foundation, now we're gearing up towards, okay, what can we do for our customers functionality wise now that we have improved that foundation to build that functionality on top of.
And ease of use as well. One of the things for people looking to upgrade some of our legacy users out there, we also made the error messages more user-friendly. This is something we've been trying to do for a while, but gosh, if it can tell you exactly what you need to do and you don't have to talk to support at all, well, that's great for everybody, right? So we have been really trying to make user-friendly error messages that say, oh, these two aren't matching, here's our support article to help with that. Valerie also asked about the upgrade from legacy to our full version, that we transport everything over. So if you upgrade your current account, everything comes over. You shouldn't have an issue if you are connected with a custom security role, which we do recommend, by the way. You may need to grant us a few more permissions, but we can completely help you with that. But if you're upgrading, you should be running batches within that minute. As soon as you upgrade, you should be all set to go. There's one more thing that I wanted to just bring up here. We didn't think we'd have any questions, so we planned some little, chatty things, but you guys were so great, we almost didn't get to this. Does anybody know what a Gozynta is? Any idea? Some people think it's like a kind of dumpling or something. Has anybody heard the story of Gozynta? Well, Brian, why don't you tell this story? It's a good one.
So when I was a kid, and I'd be, working with my grandfather in the garage, or at least standing there watching what he was doing. And he would ask me to give him the Gozynta. And I had no idea what a Gozynta was. I knew what a wrench was. I knew what a screwdriver was. But what's a Gozynta? Well, it's the thing that goes into here. And so I think it probably took him a few times of saying that to me before it sunk in. I don't know, but it definitely stuck eventually. And nowadays we make products that have databases. We make products that take data from one application and make it goes into another application. So the name seemed like a good fit for us.
Yes.
Oh, I think I created some confusion in the question I answered. I was asked if when we talked about the SOAP API going away, I'm getting a question if ConnectWise isn't continuing development on the built-in integration, and it will go away. The built-in integration isn't built on the SOAP API, and I would not expect that to go away. The QuickBooks Desktop integration that's built into ConnectWise, we have no indication that that's going away.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that at all. The API, the SOAP API that our old integrations were built on, anything that is currently branded as Mobius Connect Legacy, that is going away. And so in the future, when that goes away, those legacy integrations will stop working. I'm sure ConnectWise will keep their QuickBooks Desktop integration working. I'm sure they will keep their QuickBooks Online integration working. And then certainly our new Gozynta Mobius integration, we're planning on keeping that working for the long haul.
And I wanted to say thank you to Will and the Bering McKinley team. They are amazing. They are just so amazing. And they've been great supporters of ours. And everyone we work with that has worked with Bering McKinley they just know what they're doing. So it's been great. Every MSP we've ever talked to that's worked with them just loves them. So highly recommend them.
Thank you guys. This was wonderful, very informative. If you love this, next month we're going to be back again talking about the other their other platform, which is Tixt. This is more geared for your service team, and it's a really nifty tool that'll allow your end users to just submit tickets via text message, which everybody's living off of their phone nowadays anyway. So we'll be back on the 26th talking about Tixt. If you guys have any questions, please email ConnectWise Tuesday at beringmckinley.com. You can email me directly. If need be, I can forward these over to Brian and Heather. Brian and Heather, wonderful job. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next month.
All right.
Thanks so much,
Look
Will.
forward to it. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.